Welcome everybody to the Watchlist, your virtual weekly TV guide where we review all the movies and shows that come out in streaming. We'll give you our recommendations, and of course at the end of the show let you know what's coming out so you can create your very own watch list. Now next week we're not going to do a show, so we're going to give you 2 full weeks worth of releases, so I don't hear anybody complain that there's nothing to watch, because there's tons to watch over the next 2 weeks. We'll set that up, and your horror fans should be excited because it's Halloween time, it's October, a lot of good horror stuff up and coming, so we'll talk about that at the end of the show. Of course, I'm going to introduce my co-host here, Senor Jaime, live from Houston. It's Chewy. How you doing?
Hey man, what's going on, man?
All right, we're getting ready to go. I know we missed last week. We had tragedy fall upon us last week, the passing of our dear father, who's watching us now proudly, I hope. And, so we took a little time off, but debated what even to do a show today. But I think getting back to normalcy is always a good thing, right? Getting back to routine and what we do and we like to do all the time. And throughout this week, we're dealing with all this, and, it's terrible and all that, of course. I'm sure a lot of people have gone through that or are going through it, even maybe worse circumstances. But I was reminded as to why I like movies and TV so much. Because, yes, obviously TV's movie, it's entertainment, right? This is why I watch. It's at the very basic, the essence of it. We love a good story, we love great characters, and seeing these characters getting invested in them, and when a show can make you give a shit about a character that's not even real, that's a good thing, right? And we love it, we enjoy it. But as a reminder this week that it also serves, even more importantly, as an escape, right? Escape from reality. Sometimes you just want to get away, right, from your everyday lives. Particularly when, the harshness that reality can bring to your life, like we just experienced this last week or so, and even for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever, we're distracted, right? Because we get to escape. We escape to a different place, a communal escape, watching a movie with family or friends, or at a theater, or watching TV with a family and friends, and enjoying that experience to where, it's not going to heal anything, but for that short time, it takes you away, right? Whether we go to Westeros and, look behind the shadows and witnessing the Game of Thrones, or we travel to Middle Earth and, see the Sauron's forces growing and the elves and all of them getting together, or we go to a galaxy far, far away, or we travel across the pond and be inspired by Mr. Lasso, if you will, or sometimes we want to hang out with Selena, Martin, Steve, and just hang out in their building and solve that mysterious murder that comes about. So whatever it is an escape, and we love it. This is why we're here. This is why we're talking about it, and it helped this week. It really did, for a short time. So that being said, let's talk about the shows that can maybe provide you an escape for anybody going through tough times, whatever that may be, because this is what it's all about, right? You want to have some fun, even for a short time. So let's get to it. Chewy, thank you for indulging me for a second there. But let's get to a lot of shows to talk about, 2 weeks worth of stuff. We're going to focus on a few. I couldn't see everything for obvious reasons, particularly some of the films that came out, whether it be Blonde or The Monsters, like I can't even want to see anyway. Hocus Pocus too. Really, that's an escape I want no part of. Maybe some of you guys do, and that's great. I get it. Just not for us. But that being said, we did focus on a lot of the shows. It was a light week this week anyway, so we'll touch on that. But let's start with some of the shows that came out last week. Being the first one, Quantum Leap, show that I think we differ on opinions, and I'll let you take the floor in a second on this show. But this is continuation of the original series, right, back in the 90s, early 90s, with Scott Bakula playing Sam Beckett, who found a way to travel through time and within his own lifetime and to people's bodies, and you have to put right when went wrong, and when he does, he can leap back. Unfortunately, he keeps leaping and never gets home, right? The goal is for him to get home, and hopefully that leap can bring him back home, and never does. Obviously, spoiler alert. Great show, I loved it. This one here's a continuation of that, tying in the events of that show, and bringing like Alf Scalavici. Am I saying it right? He's with Sam Beckett's partner,
Yes,
who helped him
Calavici.
out, right? Hence, who died, and now his daughter's there, and the daughter's actually the one that helped the main character begin the process to travel in time. But of course, things didn't go as planned, and much like the original Quantum Leap, he's going between people and trying to resolve issues and get back home. Yeah, I'm almost off the show, to be honest with you. I'm not off the show quite yet. I may be.
Boo bitch.
It's not an awful show, but the problem is, maybe because I'm just such a big fan of the original. The original is on NBC, on Peacock anyway. And I figured I guess I'm stuck in that premise, right? Because this show, what it doesn't do is what the first show did so well. I focus on the characters and the story of the person and the people surrounding that person, which he leaps into. That's what made the show great, right? It was very grounded, right? Very intimate, if you will. They didn't worry about the science behind it or what's going on in real time. That wasn't the focus in the show. This show tends to try to walk that line between that and what's going on in real time with them in the future and why this guy left and what's his purpose and all that. And I think it's just the show's not balancing either one. Give us one or the other, for me anyway. And when he leaps, I don't care what's going on, what location he's at. I don't care because they don't spend enough time with the characters. So who cares? He's just it's a plot device to get him to do whatever it is so he can leap again while they focus on why he's leaping. So, yeah, not a fan. Dude. I don't know. I'm not sure. Chew, you got a different opinion on this one. So, your thoughts on that?
No, man, I am. I'm enjoying more the what's going on in the present storyline, right? More than the story because it's hard to because it cannot be a rehash of the original, right? It's got to be something more. It's got to be more to the mystery. And I think that's what they're trying to develop, and that's what I appreciate more about the show than the actual trying to fix what went wrong. Because with that we got that was it 90 whatever, so we got that 30 years ago.
Sure.
So but they still have to emphasize that because they still need to make us care about those particular individuals and how they're connected to Ben and his character. But obviously it sounds like I'm enjoying it more than you are at this point.
I get it. I mean, and I wouldn't mind if they rehashed it because it's been 30 years. Right? If it's been like 5, 10 years ago, yeah, you don't want to rehash it. But 30 years, just face it. Kids growing up now, people who are too young to see the show at the time, not gonna know what the hell is going on, right? So you could have given them the same thing and they would have been okay with it, I thought. But yeah, it just wasn't for me. I know Chew, you're a bigger fan. Like, it's on NBC's Peacock every Monday. If you guys want to check it out, if you're fans of the show, I always say give it a shot. Maybe again, like with Chewy, difference of opinion. Maybe you enjoy it more than I did. But if you want something more akin to what we got, buyer beware. That's what I'm talking about. Watch the original. That's the Peacock has. It's a great show. 5 seasons, really good show. Next one, a comedy, right? We love some comedies. Hulu releasing every Tuesday a show called The Reboot.
How appropriate.
Yeah, appropriate. Yeah, so it's basically a show about a network who's rebooting an old sitcom, kind of a little satirical of what's going on these days, Full House. And
it's actually rebooting, the '90s, early '90s style sitcom.
Right, exactly.
Right, where the Step by Step or the or My Two Dads, or you go through the whole list of '90s sitcoms, especially like at NBC, they're all the same formula. And so this is rebooting a version of that. Family Matters. This is akin to that.
Exactly.
Even has the same, exactly. It has the same type of intro music. The characters now, whatever, 20 years older.
I think it's been 30. I don't know.
30 years,
whatever it is. But it's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So and it's funny because like the studio is actually Hulu, so it's very meta in that way. So they're going to read the show.
There's a meeting at the Hulu offices, pitching the show and the reboot and how they want to do it. So absolutely, it's just like taking a very meta, very in your face approach of how these reboots actually happen.
Yeah, they get all the actors to come back. Keegan Michael Key was in this, who I love. He's great.
Yeah. Paul Reiser, which is obviously one of the key '90s icons.
Yeah. My Two Dads, Mad About You. He does a bunch of comedies back in the day.
Mad About You.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Johnny Knoxville's in this, who I think is great in the show. So yeah, it's got a really good cast, and focus on the writers who the old writers who Paul Reiser, the character, was the original writer of the show. His daughter now trying to reboot it, with more modern take on it, and these being their own set of writers, and they're kind of at odds because you got the old versus the new, so they're trying to find a way to kind of coexist and how to blend both styles of humors, which is very different nowadays, particularly with the culture is, with the woke culture, the PC culture that they're not used to from back in the '90s, right? We know that for sure.
Well, definitely, it's not woke, it's PC, right? Because you could,
PC,
I'll give you an example. If anyone's seen Blazing Saddles, that would never fly in today's days and age. And that was probably borderline racist if anything, but it was in a joking manner.
No, yeah,
and here the jokes have to be a little bit more evolved, and the comedy has evolved. Obviously, it's not slapstick anymore.
Times have changed, and it mirrors that right on the show as it is right now. But ultimately, listen, only matters if it's funny, right? It's a comedy, 30-minute comedy, and it's funny. I'm enjoying it,
It's
man. This is
funny.
a funny show. I mean, I sometimes
I
not every joke hits, excuse me, but I'm laughing. I'm like, this is kind of funny situations they're in
Yeah,
there. The characters are
it's a
really
good
good.
mixture of the clash between the old and the new
Yeah,
styles of comedy and writing, but also there's obviously a lot of situational comedy. For example, the Johnny Knoxville character hooking up with the kids actors.
yeah, with the mom. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Like,
It's a really
uh,
good, funny situation, by the way, with that how that
yeah,
turns out. But yeah, I'm digging it, man. I'm love Paul Reiser. I love all these guys in it. It's fun. It's a fun show. It's not
mm,
deep. It's like they changed the world. But you don't get many good comedies these days. We really don't, for the most part. Most of it's dramas or whatever, right? Mysteries, and we love it. But
mm,
a good comedy always works. This works, man. So I'm all over. Yeah, like, high recommend for me on Hulu on
yeah.
Tuesdays too. I assume you're on the same boat.
I'm in with that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I figure. So check this one out. A 30-minute show, really easy watch. I think it's 4 episodes now, and again dropping every week on Tuesdays. The next one we found this. Actually, we didn't talk about it before. I didn't even know about it, but we jumped on it this week. AMC Plus, who we're fans of. Again, it's like 5 people subscribe now, so they're going up. Good for them, AMC Plus. So for those 5 people, maybe 6 people out there, some good shows on AMC Plus. They really are. We talk about them all the time. But Pantheon's a new one. This
Hmm.
animated show. It's in style of anime, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
high
Anime,
concept.
sci-fi. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yeah, high concept idea. Nothing new, but it's about an artificial intelligence for the most part. We're focused on the daughter, wife daughter whose father passed away, and they find out that he's actually was uploaded into A as an AI, whatever the case is, right? He has control of the situation, the company who was in charge of that, and there's a mystery behind it, etc. As it unfolds, etc., etc. Highbrow concept, well done. I'm liking it a lot. To be honest with you, it's not. I don't think it's great. I guess again, it's a concept we've seen. We've seen this done before, right? It's not new. We've seen this uploading AI and all that stuff, whether in short form or movies or TV. Not new.
Well, I mean, just
You know,
think Matrix, right? I mean, this
a
is has a lot of
Matrix.
Matrix elements
Yeah, we've seen.
with virtual reality.
Right, Black Mirror's
Uh,
done episodes like that. Where they
yep, that's
upload
right.
your consciousness into the web or whatever it is, a computer, whatever. We've seen it done before. Nothing new. But it's well done. If you're gonna do it, if
Mm.
you're gonna rinse and repeat, execute it well, right? Ultimately. So yeah, if you're at this, I'm enjoying it. And I think it's not pure animation. It's more anime, so it's a little more grown up. I know people think animation. I get it. They're kind of turned off by it for the most part, but it's good. It's solid. True, your thoughts?
No, I think it's a very good show. It's relatively short, 40-minute episodes. They're
Mm-hmm.
dropping weekly. I think there's 5 episodes out right now,
Yeah,
and it's an eight episode run. But it's very very well done. And like I said, it's not intended for kids. It's I'd say, it's adult animation, I would guess. It's not really an anime style type
correct.
of drawing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very interesting. That has a nice twist in it. And I'm enjoying it. So I think definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's an interesting watch. Very cool. I get AMC Plus, and they don't release many shows, but they usually hit more so than anything, right? They got a good
Yeah, they're
ratio.
very
Yeah,
selective.
they're very selective, but
You
they
know,
got a good ratio.
there's one that just dropped this. Actually, I already caught the first episode. We'll talk about it later. That actually starts today, but I've already seen the first episode
Oh, I
for
haven't
the
yet. I
next
didn't
show.
know. I didn't know it was out yet, so I'm gonna catch it very soon. Then,
Sucker.
I forget NC Plus. Usually NC Plus is a week ahead of the release schedule.
Yes, that's
But
correct.
we'll talk about that in a minute. The next one, this is one where just when you think it's out, you're out. They pull you back in, kind of show. And I'm
No,
referring to Star
no,
Wars. In this case,
no.
Andor, which dropped last week on Disney Plus, where we've gotten burned in the past. Last couple of shows have been,
Keystone Cops.
yeah, last couple of shows have been mediocre at best, and I'm being nice. But that being said, here's another one. Here we go. Can they get it right? Right. This one, Andor, of course, focusing on Cassian Andor, one of the main characters in Rogue One. Film came back. A movie which I liked. So that was a good movie. Focusing on the events right leading up to Episode 4 of Star Wars. So this one goes focusing on his character going, X number of years back, I guess, and how he got involved in a rebellion, et cetera, et cetera.
This is what so this was 5 years before
I
that
guess
those
right. Yeah, I'm
events.
not sure. Yeah, I
Yes.
think just dropping weekly. 30-minute episodes. They drop to 3, and then I'm dropping one every week on Wednesdays. And I gotta say, listen, I'm surprised, dude. I was hopeful. It looked good. I got a lot of good reviews coming in. And I'm enjoying it. It's really a different take on what we've gotten recently with Star Wars in terms of it being a little bit more mature in terms of its presentation and tone. Kids can watch it, but it's not really like Obi-Wan and even Boba Fett. It seemed more like kid-friendly shows, right? This one seems a little bit more dark, more seasoned. Is more about the
I would say
rebellion,
this is
very
more
gritty.
adult,
You know,
more adult. And I think this is what Star Wars really needs to be to move forward.
correct.
It's got to stop being a show for kids and it needs to be a mature show. It doesn't have to be graphic, but it needs to be mature and intelligent
Right.
in how they present the subject matter and their story. You can't have, you know, I joked about Keystone Cop, but I think, Obi-Wan would have been a much better show if it just stuck to its guns and not given it these moments that just made absolutely no sense. And would just let me hide the kid under the robe and walk right through the middle of the
Right.
escape. I mean, come on, really?
Yeah.
I mean, when you get moments like that, you take those moments out, and it's a very good show. You put those moments in, and it ruins it because it just adds elements of your silly, ridiculous,
Yeah.
and just makes no sense. No, it's lazy. Is
Right.
what
And
it is.
it's
Lazy writing.
well, in terms of Obi-Wan, it should have been a movie, not a series to begin with. But
Probably,
this
yeah.
one lends itself to be more of a series. It's got a lot more meat on the bone, right? And a show like this,
Mhm.
right? It's supposed to just
Yeah,
focus,
and it's obviously coming a bigger breadth of time. I think this is supposed to span 5 years
right?
as far as this first season, so they're going at a good clip.
Yeah, I
But
think season two already
it's
got
done,
greenlit. So.
you know. But like I said, with the first mystery, the first scene, the murder, it's done where there's some thought and some proper writing put behind it as far as tracking them down, and obviously the fights where it's not like there isn't a convenient escape or something.
Right.
They put some thought into it. It's like, oh, hey,
You know,
here's an escape pod, let's go.
you know
No,
what it has? It has weight and stakes, right? It
mhm.
has that feel to it. Although I still have the issue, and we've talked about it, where it's still focusing on this timeline, right?
Well,
I get
timeline
it.
aside, I'm not gonna rehash that. Whatever. It's the same timeline. This is what we're gonna get, but let's judge the show on the merits of
Sure,
how it's presented.
exactly,
That
right.
subject
I
matter.
agree. So although it's that, at least again, do it well. If you're gonna give us that, do it
Yes,
well, right? Fine. If you're
yes.
not gonna move away from go to a
And so
deep into
far
this
to the
galaxy,
first,
right?
yeah,
Give us something
yeah.
good.
So far to the first 4 episodes, it's done it very
It's
well.
not very
And,
well.
and
Yeah.
so I will forgive the subject matter as long as they start focusing on presented in this with this tone and in this fashion, and then maybe we can get something right, and then now move on to something else, but still applying this formula to it going forward rather than keeping it silly and
Exactly.
dumbed
Yeah.
down for the
Yeah. Like
audience.
Mandalorian toes that line at times, right? But it gets more right
Well, I
than
mean,
it
with
does more right than it
Mandalorian,
does wrong.
it
It does more
has
right.
well, yeah, yeah. I mean, it has something you care about.
Sure.
Even though it has the formula of the video game formula, adventure, adventure back. But I can accept that because it's not silly or dumb,
No, right, exactly.
right?
It knows how to toe that line just enough so it
Mhm.
doesn't enter that territory, right? Which it
Yeah.
can. It could have easy. So, but this one's obviously more to the extreme with just more serious tone, more intelligently written. So this one I really like. It's a good drama, right? It's not like an
Mhm.
action-packed show or anything to that effect. And there are scenes, and I heard it's gonna get a little more. It's gonna the action's gonna take a little more of a bigger role down the road from what I hear.
Good, good.
I had a friend that's father had seen the first six.
Okay.
He said the 4, 5, and 6 were as good as the first three were. They were far superior than the first three. That's a good thing because the first three were really good, right, when they released. So yeah, very excited. Yeah, if you had hesitations, don't. It's really good. Believe the hype. It's a really good show. Definitely check it
Mhm.
out. The other one I was excited about is Dahmer on Netflix. The limited series based, of course, on Jeffrey Dahmer, sick bastard, starring Evan Peters. Is that his name, right? I think.
That is correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Written by
AKA Quicksilver from
Quicksilver,
Kick-Ass.
Kick
No, no,
Ass.
sorry, not from
Well, he
Kick-Ass.
wasn't Kick
Sorry.
Ass.
Well, but Quicksilver from the X-Men movie. But yes,
Right,
he was
the second
in
trilogy.
Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
Yes,
Um,
he was
he
Kick-Ass.
was kick ass. He was in kick ass. And he is Brian Murphy done this one, so he's not his first time in Netflix. I'm not a huge Ryan Murphy fan. American Horror Story was good early on, then he kind of went to shit. And people like Glee, I get it. And he did the one show that Nurse Ratchet, which I thought was okay. But whatever. But this one did a good job. There's a very obviously it's going to be a dark show, chronicling the events that him Dahmer growing up and becoming, of course, the serial killer that he was, and what happened, how he did it, and kind of trying to figure out in his mind why he did what he did, and et cetera, et cetera. Dark show, very well done, executed. I mean, if you don't know about this guy, there's one to watch. There's been so many documentaries and movies about him as it is. There's a little bit different take on it, focusing a lot on, I guess, a lot of race issues at the time, which led to him not being caught, which I thought was interesting. I have forgotten about that. I was still kind of young, barely in high school when all this had happened. I don't think I was in high school, to be honest with you. You may have, Chewy. But yeah, it's really well done. It's like I said, very dark. It's a slow-paced show. I thought 8 episodes would have been more of a sweet spot than a 10. But that being said, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a good watch, and this is a high recommend for me, Chewy.
No, I think this obviously it's a dramatization, so some of the events are exaggerated
Of course.
or formulated for the viewing audience. But I think obviously the major strokes are there. And I think I like the approach that he took as far as not necessarily telling a linear story, but giving us a lot of events in flashback form that dives deep into his psyche and trying to not necessarily explain why he did, but kind of demonstrating from a perspective of the dad and now obviously the mom, and then from him as a kid and going through high school, even going through trial, kind of breaking up these snippets into these episodes that kind of dive deep into each aspect of what happened and who this individual was and why did he end up doing what he did. Um, but it was very interesting, very thought provoking. I think what he did. Evan Peters was great as Jeffrey Dahmer in this
Oh
show.
yeah, he was great. I mean, you can if you've seen video of him, you're like, oh man, it's pretty close, pretty accurate
Hmm.
to the mannerisms that he had, and very stoic and almost lifelike, almost right in his approach and
Hmm.
how he spoke and all that. And kudos to Molly Ringwald, who's eating again. Good for her. She played actually. I didn't realize until halfway through the show she was playing the stepmom of Jeffrey
Oh
Dahmer.
shit!
Yeah, so
Seriously, I
the
had
'80s
no idea.
queen, '80s queen from the Breakfast Club, Cinema was fire.
Wow.
She's back here. I was like, oh my God, Molly Ringwald, good for you, Molly Ringwald. We like to see her eat. Well, no pun intended with Dahmer. But that being said, good show, good watch. Definitely check it out. I really enjoyed it on Netflix. 10 episode run. Last one here on Netflix is one of very well, only a couple of shows. I think maybe one show that dropped this week. I don't even know. And that's the Empress, a period piece on Netflix, a German show which is dubbed in British English, the Queen's English, if
The
you will.
Queen's English, my friend. The Queen's
Yeah,
English.
Queen's English, and it's
Just pot of tea.
yeah, it takes place what is back in the Austrian German Empire, I guess, and whatever
I want to say
1800s,
1800s.
I guess. Yeah, you have the
I could be
emperor. Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, the
Yeah.
emperor who just found his new queen or empress, if you will, is Elizabeth, who didn't even want to partake in any of this, and now she's kind of caught up in it. Um, seen a couple, and I am out on this
I
one.
didn't. I did not even last one episode, dude. I'm
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Listen, it's got good production value. It's this is akin to Bridgerton, I guess. Not maybe not Bridgerton. The Crown, I guess, which
Yes,
it's not for me.
maybe.
It's
Yeah,
not for me.
yeah.
But The Crown has a little more life to the show than this one does, right? It's got a little more levity to it, a little more. This one's just kind of slogs around. It's just not interesting. It's just not interesting. It really is.
No, no.
Yeah,
I started. I watched half an episode, and I think I
yeah. I
was like,
saw two.
I'm like, boo.
Yeah, listen, I had more time because this is the only show I had to watch yesterday. So I'm like, on Friday, I'm like, all right, let me
Yeah,
watch.
there's nothing else on
Right,
app.
I said,
So yeah.
I'll give it two. My plans to do three or four. So nothing else to watch. Yeah, I couldn't get that far. It doesn't work. It's just dull. The main characters, you don't give a shit. Again, they do such a terrible job setting these characters up. They really do. And whatever
Mm.
romance, the show's obviously focusing on the romance. It does a terrible job with that. It really does. It just doesn't work. It's a shame because I was kind of looking forward to it. Maybe because there's nothing around.
Yeah, it's
Say
okay.
that this
Yeah.
doesn't work. Damn it! I already cut up all my shows. Nothing else to watch. That kind of thing. So watch some old movies I put on. Saw a little Blade. Very excited about Blade. But yeah, so that one's not a recommend. So I don't recommend you guys catch that at all. But that's okay because there's a light week. This next 2 weeks again, I'm not gonna be around next week. I'm on a well-earned vacation, but back in 2 weeks. But that being said, I know Chewy's
I'm
probably
gonna
watching.
put that world earning quotations or whatever.
Yeah, tomatoes. Difference of opinion. But
I
there
think
is
your fantasy team's on vacation.
one of my teams has been on vacation since the beginning. Apparently, the other ones they're saying there's a chance. But next week we got it's about 12 shows, titles, movies coming out in the next 2 weeks. Plenty to dig into. I won't get a chance to see all of them. I will see most of them on the plane. It's a long plane ride, so a lot of downloading. I got 8, 9, 10 hours of shows to watch on the plane. So I'll be caught up for the most part on most of the shows coming out. So let's get to it, Chewy. It's a big weekend. You mentioned one already.
Hmm.
And that's Interview with the Vampire, which drops
That's
today.
good.
It's already out on AMC Plus. I will be checking that out very soon. I forgot it was already on. Of
Yep.
course, based, Anne Rice's novel. We had the movie with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. So you saw the first one. Just kind of curious. Just quick assessment.
Man, I'm hooked.
Okay.
I am
Okay.
in.
All right. Leave it at that. Okay. So I'm excited. Okay. So I'm
I
definitely
think
gonna
I
watch
watched
that.
it.
So okay.
No, no, it's it's gonna surprise you. I mean, it's like I said, this is the type of subject matter that deserves a show, and I think, and from what I heard, it's already been greenlit for season 2. So that should tell you everything you need to know.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to AMC dramas, they take their dramas seriously.
No, they do. Like I said,
Walking that aside.
minimal releases, but they usually hit well with that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm excited. It's vampires. Come on, bro. It's Halloween time. This is a perfect time to release this kind of show. Let's stay at the vampire tip. There's a lot of horror themed shows in the next couple weeks, which I'm always for. This one I probably won't get to watch because it's in sci-fi and I don't have cable and I can't download this stuff anyway. But Chewy, I'm sure we'll watch it. And that is Reginald, the vampire.
Reginald the vampire. Yes.
Yeah, it's a comedy.
I think it's probably part comedy. That Reginald is played by Peter Parker's best friend from Homecoming and Coming Home and
No Way Home.
No Way Home. So that character, the Ned character. I don't know the actor's name, but he plays the main character. He turns into a vampire, and so he's trying to deal with how to be a vampire. And I think that's where the comedy comes in, right? Because it's not meant to be scary or dark, but obviously you deal with vampires. There's some dark elements to it.
Okay, I'm kind of curious. Maybe I can jump in later when I get back, depending on what comes out in a few weeks. Next one that's on the.
I mean, it's gonna drop weekly, so it's not like you're gonna miss that many episodes.
Well,
right?
That's a fair point. Peacock on the 6th. So Wednesday, I believe, is a Friend of the Family, a limited series. Believe it.
Docu series, I believe.
It's a docu series. Oh, that's not a regular series.
Well, no. It's based on true events.
So dramatization. Oh, okay, I got you. Okay,
yeah.
That's not a documentary. Okay, fair enough.
No, it's not documentary.
Okay, but it's based on true story, I guess. This family whose daughter was kidnapped several times by the neighbor, particular neighbor, and how he was able to pull that off to some degree. Looks interesting. This one, I'm not sure if I probably won't get to watch this on Peacock, but I'll see if I can. But True will let us know how it is. And again, I'm sure they're going to drop two. I don't know if they're going to drop the whole thing at once or episode a weekend.
I checked on Rotten Tomatoes, and looks like they're dropping the whole thing. But but Rotten Tomatoes has gotten it wrong. Where I've looked stuff up, it says all the episodes available, and then on Peacock it's only one. I'm like,
all right, so okay, I know Chuy's going to watch it. So if it's good enough, we'll talk about it in a couple weeks when we return. Hulu on 10/6, same day we got the Aftershock. Excuse me, docu.
No. That's Netflix, by the way.
Oh, it's Netflix. No, I have your Hulu. Either way.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm looking at the poster now. It's Hulu. It says Hulu.
Oh.
So, yeah, okay. It says Hulu. So, yeah, maybe Netflix. But and the poster says Hulu, so I'm going to assume that's correct. I don't know. But Aftershock, it's a documentary on, I guess.
No. It's Netflix. I looked it up yesterday. This is definitely Netflix.
All right, fair enough.
This is the tragedy 2015 at Empress with the earthquake. There was an earthquake.
Okay. Maybe I have the wrong Aftershock then, so my bad. Okay.
You got the different. This is based on the earthquake in Nepal. So with the climbers going up Everest, and obviously the tragedy that occurred because of it. So fairly recent event.
Forgive me, it's been bad week, so you slip every so often. So that's Aftershock on Netflix, not on Hulu. My bad on that's probably another Aftershock.
I don't know what Aftershock on Hulu. What you were about to watch.
I pulled it up, and either way, so Aftershock on Netflix.
It could be a movie based on the same thing. We've seen that similar, like the 13 the caves in Thailand.
Whatever,
yeah, 13 Lives where there was a movie in Amazon, and now it's also another series coming out on Netflix. So it could be one of those situations.
Okay, fair enough. It's my mistake. Next one here, which I'm really excited for. This is on Hulu, so I will definitely get downloaded to watch it when I'm away. That's Hellraiser. I know Chewy could care less, but that's fine. Hellraiser, which again, it reminds me of Prey. We're like, oh, here we go, and then terrible sequels and blah, straight to Hulu, but Prey really worked out well. We both enjoyed Prey a lot. The reviews on this have been, they're all consistently saying it's the best since the first. Almost the same kind of stuff we're hearing from Prey. That being said, I'm excited for this one. The trailer looked really good. I always like the premise of Hellraiser, just when they were executed beyond the first film. Even the first one doesn't really hold up, but back then it did. So I'm excited about that. That's on the 7th. That's going to be the straight to Hulu film. Dairy Girls, season 3. I believe.
Third
season. I don't watch the show. True, I think you do. So that's on Netflix starting on the 7th.
Yeah, this is a British comedy, and I've enjoyed it. The first 2 seasons. It kind of takes place in the 80s, and I want to say Ireland or Scotland, but it focuses on these 4 friends, in high school, and so the hygiene setting. So it's very very funny show.
Okay. Werewolf by Night also on the 7th. Disney
And
Plus,
Disney Plus, yes.
MCU diving into horror-ish, I guess. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
It's a film. It's like an hour, a short film, like well, shorter from an hour and 10 minutes or something like that, as far as length, I think.
Hmm.
It's got really good reviews. People who saw it already, so I'm looking forward to it. Not excited because it's MCU, much like Star Wars. You got to prove it at this point. But let's see. Also on the 7th, horror fans, The Midnight Club on October, on the 7th, I guess, on Netflix. This is one. Is this the one? I think this is the one by the same people who gave us Midnight Mass. And
I believe
yeah, the
so. Yeah.
haunting of House Hill. I forgot the name of that. The Haunting House one. I forgot what it's called.
Mm.
Really good shows, by the way. So I'm excited about this one. It's like this one deals with afterlife stuff. So kids who are terminally ill, and they make a pact when they cross over to kind of let everyone know what's going on. And obviously supernatural stuff arises. A lot of horror elements to it. I really like Venom Mask was the last one that these guys had done. I really enjoyed that show. Really well done. So I'm really looking forward to this one. After the 7th, I'll definitely watch this on Disney Plus. On the 12th, we're heading to the following week, and that is John Stamos, Big Shot season 2. Who cares? But I'm sure Chewie cares.
Dude, I
Chewie
care. I
Chewie
like it, man.
I know. Chewie
It's a
cares.
family show. You are anti-family shows, yes,
I'm
for
not
the guy.
anti-family shows. I
You're
love me some family
anti-Lego
shows.
Masters. You're anti-Bay. You know, you didn't mention the fact that this week the Mighty Duck show dropped, but whatever.
Whatever. Mighty Ducks, my ass. But yeah, so Big Shot. And this is more of he's a basketball coach, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Women's basketball coach in
kind
high
of like
school.
what was that Indiana coach's name?
Bobby Knight.
Who got kicked. Yeah, he kind of a little take on Bobby Knight. As far as he, having anger issues, and so he gets kicked out of the NCAA and has to kind of go back to high school basketball to kind of re fix his brand and his image to try to get back into the upper echelon of coaching again.
Okay, fair enough. Same day, the 12th, again on Netflix. There's a show called Detective Velasquez. If I'm saying that right. Spanish
Yes, I think
show.
this is a Mexican or is it Spanish?
Yeah, well, it's in Spanish. I'm not sure if it's from Spain or if it's Mexican. I'm not quite
I
sure.
think because the actor is a Mexican actor. It could be a Spanish show, but I'm not sure.
Well, we
Yeah,
saw
so
him
either way.
in the show. What's it called? The Resort on Peacock.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
He was pretty funny in the resort
he actually
actually.
was. He was probably the best character in that show for sure. So
Yeah.
I saw him like, okay, I'll watch it because he's in it. The premise, I guess I forgot he's doing something else. He transitioned to becoming a detective, something like that. I think it's built like a comedy esque kind of show.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen the trailer, but I saw the actor. That's why I wanted to see.
Yeah, this
So I'm
is
not sure if this is
interesting.
a serious murder mystery or this is comedic murder mystery.
It's probably with him. It's probably a bit of both. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So I can dig that, like a good mystery, right? On the 13th, again, horror fans, The Watcher, Brian Murphy. I keep saying Ryan Murphy. I think it's Brian Murphy. Oh, is it Ryan? Whatever. Forgive me,
Right.
Ryan. Whatever. Last name Murphy. We just talked about who gave us Dahmer. Has another show called The Watcher, limited series on Netflix. I think based on a true story. I think. But a
I
family,
believe
yeah,
so.
man,
Yes.
family moves into the house and they're being stalked by someone there
Hmm.
and all that. So it looks interesting. And again, coming off Dahmer, all right, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I'll definitely check it out on Netflix. It may have some kind of horror-esque vibe to it, which Murphy has done American Horror Story. So I'm with it. Apple Plus. That's all we gotta say.
I know.
Apple Plus. All right, moving on. No, Apple Plus. We got what's it called? Shantaram.
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 Yes. Yes.
Charlie Hunnam, of course, from Sons of Anarchy days.
Dax. Yeah.
He's
Dax,
eating
right.
again. Good for him. It's kind of a thriller-esque show, right? Something like that.
I think I think for me it's more drama. I mean,
Is it?
he takes an individual who, for what reasons that I'm not clear, I haven't seen the trailer, but he ends up in India, and I think he's trying to hide or escape from something he had done. So, and I'm not sure if this is current or if this is maybe a period piece, but Apple Plus, I'll give it the benefit that I always
Yeah.
check out the
Apple
first
Plus,
episode and
right?
see if it's worth it.
They hit a lot more than they miss. They have a
Hmm.
great ratio to good to bad on Apple Plus. So absolutely, we'll definitely be watching this one. And on the 14th, if you have Peacock Plus or Premiere, whatever it's called, Premiere Peacock, whatever. Halloween Ends comes out in the theaters and on Premium Peacock on the
Yeah.
same day. Figure it's gonna be on streaming, so worthy of mention to you guys, to those who actually want to pay for a free service. It's on you guys. I get it. I may not, I probably won't get to watch it on our premium, but whatever. A lot of Halloween fans. I'm a Halloween fan. I didn't like the last one. But maybe this one is the last one. This is the ending of the era of Michael Myers. This saga if you will. I'm using the term very loosely with Halloween. I get it. But yeah, it comes down to 14, so looking forward to seeing that when I can. So a lot of stuff. There's 12 shows and films coming out in the next 2 weeks. That's a lot. That's a lot to chew on. So I'll be watching as much as I can, download as much as I can, or see it before I go to sleep when I'm out overseas. That being said, Chewy, that is all. We'll come back in 2 weeks and talk about, not all of them, but most of them. We'll talk a lot about these shows and see what hit and what didn't. That being said, we appreciate everybody for watching the show, subscribe, like, etc. Chewy, is always a pleasure. Good luck in your fantasy today. Good luck to your teams out there. You know, by the way, if anybody knows, anybody's hiring, the coach from Miami Dolphins medical staff is looking for work. You know, please help them out. Sorry for the Dolphins fans. I'm sorry, I didn't want to hit you like that. But that being said, we appreciate it, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Peace.